Those few moments as the doors of the Air Force One prepared to usher out Barack Obama for his visit to Kenya, this time as a sitting US president. Those few moments of anticipation. Would he embrace the homecoming spirit that awaited outside? From the quick gallops down the steps to the humble photo op with the little flower girl, and on to the stretch of handshakes with President Uhuru Kenyatta's lineup, Obama maintained his presidential poise, never losing grip of the power that his title drags along. But as he got to the tail end and into the arms of his sister, Dr. Auma Obama, it all became clear. This visit was more than just business. The journey of finding his identity by sifting through the dynamics of his family has been a big part of Obama's life. The romance between Barack Obama's parents grew during their studies at the University of Hawaii. 2 years after his birth in 1961, Barack Obama's father, Barack Obama Sr., left his young family to pursue further studies at Harvard University. At 10 years old, his stepfather, who had now adopted him, shipped him and his mother to his country, Indonesia, where he had secured a job. And then in his teens, Obama was sent back to Hawaii to live with his maternal grandparents, both of whom were Caucasian. Although this multiplicity of cultures gave a young Barack an outlook of the world, it soon grew into the basis of a rigorous quest for self-awareness. In this recently released archive speech that he gave at the Cambridge Library in 1995, shortly after releasing his book, Dreams from My Father, that internal conflict is crystal.
Much of my life was spent trying to reconcile the terms of my birth, that divided heritage, with the realities of race and nationality, tribal identities that exist not just in this country but also overseas. So that this book is not so much a memoir, I think, as sort of a journey of discovery for me, some sense of trying to make sense of my family. And family is always a complicated thing, but it was a little bit more complicated for me.
But even though his biological father broke ties with him at the toddler stage, Barack's visit back to Kenya to explore his paternal roots in 1988 changed his outlook on identity, politics, and family. And finally, he says, he realized why his two parents ended up marrying.
Part of the impulse for my parents marrying each other, you've got a white woman from a lower middle class background in a small starched town in Kansas. Now she marries an African. Well, something's going on there. I mean, part of what's going on, and she's the most wonderful woman I know, and part of what was going on with her was she's trying to break out of the isolation and stultification and constraints of her upbringing. My father, on the other hand, he's trying to break out of his own sense of isolation. He is a transitional figure, someone who's moving essentially from the 18th century directly into the 21st, out of a small Kenyan village into a Harvard PhD program, in one fell swoop.
Nearly 30 years after meeting his father's side of the family, Obama has remained closest to his sister Auma and his grandma, Mama Sarah Obama. Right after landing in Kenya, President Barack Obama went straight to dine with his family. Grandma to the right and Auma to his left. But it's not hard to understand why Auma could be so easily his favorite. He wrote fondly about her in his first memoir, describing how she carried him in her Beetle the first time he arrived in Kenya. So while he'll carry the image of his office throughout this trip to Kenya and Ethiopia, the little intimate moments that President Obama shares with his family will remain significant to his personal journey. Asha Mwilu, KTN News.